On April 5th of 1995, the Montreal Canadiens and Quebec Nordique played each other in their final game at the Montreal Forum. At the time, the reality of that mark was unknown by both teams, as the Nords wouldn't be formally sold until May, but another unknown reality subsequently came for Canadiens defenseman Bryan Fogarty. On that April night, the former top prospect scored 2 goals in a 6-5 Canadiens win, which would also mark his final big performance in the NHL.
À Popovic, à Fogarty en zone neutre. Longue passe pour Recchi en territoire des Nordiques. Son tir, l'arrêt de Snow et le but! Le retour saisi par Bryan Fogarty!
Fogarty was selected 9th overall by the Quebec Nordique in the 1987 NHL entry draft. The Brantford, Ontario native was a highly touted prospect dating back to the time he was 14, and in 1985, the Kingston Canadiens selected Fogarty 1st overall in the OHL draft. The 6'2" defender was praised for his hockey sense and puck control, and after 3 seasons of steady production in Kingston, Fogarty would take his play to the next level. At the age of 19, Bryan was traded to the Niagara Falls Thunder, where he scored 155 points in 60 games, breaking the all-time CHL record for points by a defenseman in a single season. That same year, Fogarty also broke Bobby Orr's record for the most goals by a defenseman in a single season campaign, en route to being named the Canadian Major Junior Hockey Player of the Year. A brief side note here, as of 2024, neither of those records have been broken. But moving on with our narrative, the 1989-1990 NHL season came with the expectation that Fogarty would make an immediate impact. Fogarty was thrusted into the spotlight with the Nordique in his first NHL season, scoring 14 points in 45 games, but a long and lingering issue would come to interrupt his game. Fogarty had been battling alcohol dependency since the age of 14. Throughout his junior career, off-ice suspensions and curfew violations were frequent, and he was even kicked off of the Canadian national junior team in 1987 due to excessive drinking. These issues would persist into his NHL career, and after splitting time between the AHL, IHL, and NHL, Fogarty would seek help via rehabilitation in his second professional season. But Bryan's off-ice issues would continue to haunt him throughout the rest of his career. Over the next several seasons, Fogarty would spend time in Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay, Montreal, and Buffalo, but would ultimately play most of his hockey in the IHL. Through the late 90s, he also spent time playing in Europe, with stints in Italy and Germany, but his hockey career would ultimately come to a close in 2001. On March 5th of 2002, Fogarty and a relative traveled to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina for a fishing trip. After arriving, the duo reportedly spent most of their first day drinking, and the next morning, Fogarty was found unresponsive in his hotel room and was later pronounced dead at a nearby hospital. He reportedly died of an enlarged heart, which has been tied to alcohol abuse. Taking a step back from the narrative of this video, though, there are a lot of things here that I don't want to talk about. Fogarty was arrested on multiple occasions for reasons tied to his substance use, and that's really sad, but I'm not interested in scandalizing his mistakes. So, wrapping up this video, Bryan Fogarty scored 74 points in 156 NHL games. He was compared to Bobby Orr and Paul Coffey, and even shared the ice with the likes of Mario Lemieux, Guy LaFleur, Peter Stastny, Joe Sakic, and so many more. But he was crippled by addiction, and with that, we'll never know the impact he could have had in the NHL. For What's Happening Hockey, I'm Tate Laycraft.